Hey YouTube, since I've been doing a lot of things with Fire Fist lately, I figured I'd go ahead and make a how to beat Fire Fist video. Now, I have a bunch of friends who are going to a regional this Saturday in Tuscaloosa, so I figured it might be good for them to know from a Fire Fist player exactly how to beat the deck, since they'll be seeing a lot of these as compared to Mermail, because Fire Fists are a bit cheaper. Well, a lot cheaper actually. So I just wanted to, and it's useful to you guys too, because I'm sure you guys have been seeing this deck all around the place. Because when they were cheap, a lot of people got 3 bears, and now there are Fire Fist players everywhere. But I'm going to go over what to side out, what not to side, what cards are good against the deck, you know, what cards to watch out for, combos to watch out for, stuff like that. So the first obvious side-in is Dust Tornado and MST. Now the reason being is because you want to hit your tanky. Well, their tanky. You want to hit their tanky. Because this is your searcher, it's a continuous spell, which means it has to be face up on the field to resolve. So they activate tanky, you MST it, or you Dust Tornado it, they don't get their search. Absolutely good against the deck, because this is your consistency in the deck. You need it to get bear, which is your biggest combo piece in the deck. So if you're maxing 3 copies of MST, I suggest siding 2 Dust Tornado. If you're not maxing copies of MST in your deck, I suggest siding 1 MST, 1 Dust Tornado. Now I'll explain that in just a second. So first of all, I'll say what to do when you go first and what to do when you go second. If you are one of the people who's siding 1 MST, 1 Dust Tornado, and you're going first, I advise you to side in both of them. And if you're going second, I also advise you to side in both of them to give you 4 copies of cards that can get over their tanky. Now, if you're one of the people siding 2 Dust Tornado, when you're going first, I advise siding in both Dust Tornado, and when you're going second, I advise siding in 1 copy of Dust Tornado. That'll give you 5 targets when you're going first. That's so that you can go ahead and be almost certain that you're going to have something to get over their tanky your first turn. And it'll give you 4 targets otherwise. Now, remember, always hit the tanky. Here are some things not to hit. Don't hit Tensu unless you have to. Unless I'm about to pop your stuff with bear and you cannot handle that, don't MST this. It doesn't matter if I get a Tiger King on the field. Just get over the Tiger King and hit the tanky I search from the deck. Now, there are obvious exceptions, but this is just a very, very bad card to hit. Unless you have to. This is also a very bad card to hit. This is Tensen. It's the plus 1000 attack, you know, 700 temporary, 300 permanent. This is also a very bad card to MST, unless I just said it, which it's still not a very good card to hit. If you know I have a Tensen, or you're just blind MSTing, which I disagree with anyway, all I'm going to do is chain it. And that's not good for you. Not good for you at all, because my bear is now 2300 attack. And that's only 300 short of what it would be if you had not MST'd my Tensen. So don't do it unless you have to. Hit the tanky. And most of this is common sense, but, you know, there are still some people who don't know how to play against Fire Fist, because I had people MSTing both of these cards all night, both nights, when I played the deck at my locals. Forbidden Lance. Absolutely great. If you are a Fire Fist player and you're watching this video just for fun or something, I actually strongly recommend siding a 3rd copy of Forbidden Lance. Now, for everyone else, you should already have 2 of these in your main deck. I don't see much of a reason not to have 2 of these in your main deck, except for specific decks, you know, like Mermail or something like that. But it's nice if you play Fire Fist to side a 3rd copy of this card, or if you play some random Tier 2 deck, then it's good to side whatever amount would give you 2 copies of Forbidden Lance. So, the reason being is because when they attack with bear, and you know they're going to Tensen you, which typically, you know, they won't be the first to attack, but in a simplified game state, it's prone to happen at some point. When they attack, wait until they chain Tensen, then chain your Lance. Because what you did is you made that bear 800 attack, because the chain resolves in reverse. Forbidden Lance resolves first, so the 700 attack bonus that would go off if you lanced them first does not go off. Bear's down to 800 attack. And they're going to lose their bear, and it's ridiculously bad for them. Now, the same thing goes for if you attack into them. I'm sorry, my finger was in front of the camera. I'm having to go at weird angles right now. So, the same goes for if you're attacking into their bear. You have a monster, let's just say this is the mirror match. You attack, and let's just say you have a Tenki over here making your gorilla 100 attack over the bear. They're going to chain their Tensen because they really need to be able to get over that gorilla. So, flip Tensen, bam, chain your lance. You just totally ruined everything they could have possibly ever done. Now, here is a grievous sin to do against Fire Fist. Do not lance them before they Tensen. I had people do this to me. It's ridiculous because all I'll lose is 100 attack, which is still pretty bad, because the 700 attack from Tensen will still resolve before Lance resolves if you chain Lance first. This will resolve first, Lance will resolve second, which is still bad for me, but odds are I'm not going to chain that Tensen if you Lance my monster before I Tensen. I'm just going to let the bear die and then have the Lance or the Tensen for whatever I draw into, or search with Tenki if you don't have the Dust Tornado or the MST I talked about earlier. So, long story short, I know that was a long-winded explanation, but lance them after they Tensen. It's so, so good. And the reason I say 3 copies in the mirror match is because Fire Fist run a lot of traps. You need to get your monsters on the field. Lance does both things. It stops their Tensen and it gets your monsters safe onto the field. It's beautiful, beautiful. In my personal side deck, I have a deck profile actually on my channel, if you guys want to see it. But I side 2 copies of Dust Tornado and a 3rd Lance. Now, sometimes 2 Dust Tornado can get sort of dead, but honestly, the peace of mind is worth it. Venus Chain. This is another card to side in. Heavy's not a card to side in case you're confused. Venus Chain is a good card to side in, and it's good against Bear and Gorilla. Gorilla is one of the cards that's going to force you, like a Lila, to use your back row on it, and Venus Chain is a pretty good back row to use on it. There's nothing like leaving your opponent with a useless monster. I mean, the best they can do is Tensen it, and, you know, they won't get their search or anything. So Venus Chain is a ridiculously good card if you don't already main it to side it. Now, one unrelated thing, a lot of people don't know the optimal time to Heavy Storm against this deck. A lot of people will do it when, say, I have a face-up Tensu and a face-up Tenki, and I just dragoned into, say, a Tensen, or they have a read on my Tensen or something like that. And so I just have a lot of fire formation cards. Now, there are 3 cards here. That's not debatable. As far as card advantage, you're getting a lot of advantage if you Heavy Storm me now. But as far as actual advantage, if I have a monster on the field, like this Vorse Raider I just randomly grabbed, I would chain Tensen, and he gains an attack boost, and all I lost are fuel for Gorilla and Bear. That's it. That is it. Here is a more optimal time to Heavy Storm me. When I have Tenki, and say a back row or 2 that are not necessarily Tensen, like you don't know they're Tensen or something like that. I realize Starlight Road is a thing, and one of these is actually Bear. Haha. But I realize Starlight Road is a thing, but I mean, 1 copy of Starlight Road versus 1 copy of Heavy Storm. Odds of them having the Starlight Road at particularly the right time are very, very, very low. Just watch out for when they set ridiculous, like copious amounts of back row. But sometimes I have done that with a Judgment, which is still pretty good to heavy into. But the point is, my fire formation cards aren't as important as you would think. Hit me with the back row that's gonna hurt me. Make me lose a Bottomless, make me lose a D-Prison, make me lose something that's gonna keep my Bear on the field and keep me going. That's the optimal time to Heavy Storm. Now, I realize there are some exceptions, like you have a monster and you know I have a Bear in hand, stuff like that. Now, let me go over 2 cards that if you main, you should immediately side out. I realize every deck's going to be different, but you should be siding out of your copies of Torrential, and you should be siding out of your copies of Compulsory. This will hit Tiger King, and that is about it. And Tiger King will still get its effect, which is still, I'm still getting a plus off of it, and I don't really care if you compulsory to me, so that needs to go out immediately. Torrential. A lot of people have the misconception that this is a swarming deck. It's not. Most of the time, I will have one monster on the field and just sit on that monster and start pinging you for pluses. It wouldn't be a Vorse Raider. It'd be like a gorilla or a bear or something. But Torrential is not good, because if I normal summon an extra monster, it's normally going to be a Tengu, and that's normally only if I have Lance in my hand, because Torrential is an extremely easy card to play around. I will actually make myself get a plus off of your Torrential typically. So Torrential should go out. Cards that are ridiculously good against the deck: Bottomless, Warring, Mirror Force, Dimensional Prison. Hit the bear, hit the bear, hit the bear, hit the bear. Hit the gorilla, hit the gorilla. It's really, really good against the deck, because this deck relies on you having a monster at the right time. And that's because a lot of decks run 3 of these. If you get rid of their monster, you've essentially made 3 of their cards in their deck completely dead. Not completely dead, you know. But if I have one of these set and you get rid of my monster, I'm out of luck. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. So, let's see here. We got some cards not to side in. And I thought I had one thing over here. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. Cards not to side in. Snowman Eater. People think this card is good against Fire Fist. It is not. It's really easy to play around. You may get one of my monsters popped with it, and you better hope it's not a Vorse Raider backed by Tenki or something to make it 2,000. And after I see that, I'm just going to be able to play around it so easily. So easily. Your Dust Tornadoes are much better, and your Lances are much better. And your Fiendish Chains are way better. Valor. Don't do it. Do Fiendish Chain instead. It seems like, if you're going second, that you might want to stop their first turn dragon or something, or their first turn rabbit. But all I'm going to do is set a bunch of back row, a ridiculous amount of back row. Don't do it. It's like the old rabbit decks when people used to Valor it and they used to keep the rabbit on the field and just start doing stuff again. Don't side Valors. I had plenty of people side 2 to 3 copies of this against me. No, don't do it. Thunder King Ryo. Everyone thought this was the bane of the Fire Fist deck when the Fire Fist deck first came out. And then Vorse Raider and Gene Warped Warwolf happened. Now this card is just going to get easily run over. It's the easiest card in my opponent's side deck to play around. The absolute easiest. I'd say Snowman Eater is harder to play around than Thunder King. Okay. Here's one card not to watch out for in Fire Fist. Horn of the Phantom Beast. All it is it's a win more card. I don't even know of any decks that are running it anymore. I started out running 3 copies of it when I first started testing the deck back in, the early February on Dueling Network. Then I dropped it to 2, then I dropped it to 1, then I dropped it to 0 systematically, because it's just, it can kind of thin your deck, but it's just, my opponent always seems to have something to deal with it, and I prefer to have my Tensen that I can search out than one more card that relies on me having a monster. Cards to watch out for in the Fire Fist deck. These are the ones that are going to give you the most trouble, and I've made a huge mess over here. But that's okay. That's okay. That's what my videos are for. To make a huge mess of my playmat. Now you can't see it. Bear, of course, obvious. Watch out for Bear. If you don't watch out for Bear, there's something wrong with you. Oh, I got one over here already. Reborn Tengu. This is the card that lets me push straight through your back row and get my win. It's ridiculously good, and truthfully, there's not much you can truthfully do about it, so just beat over it twice. That's my advice to you. Unless you have to do something to it, just beat over it twice. Save the warning for the bear or something. Gorilla. This is a Lila. It's a Neo Lila. It's going to force you to use back row. So when I search Gorilla, you better hope. If I have a Tenki and you think I'm going to search Gorilla, you better hope you have a Dust Tornado. There's not much you can do about this besides, chain your back row. But make sure you read it carefully, because someone thought it popped back row no matter if I had a fire formation on the field or not. So when I summoned it, they immediately hit it, and I didn't even have a fire formation card. So it was ridiculous of them to do that. But hit it if I have a fire formation card and you want to keep your back row. Other cards to watch out for, most people should know this by now, but deck devastation virus. There aren't many decks that are really super affected by this now. Maybe Mermail's hit by it a little. Only Mono Mermail, right? No. The Undyne build is hit more than this, than the Mono Mermail build. Just watch out for deck Devi, because odds are if you see a Vorse Raider, they've got that in their side deck, because they'll be running Gene Warps if they don't. Anyway, looks like I got through about everything I was going to talk to you guys about. So it's a very easy deck to play around. Just kill my monster, and you win. That is the only thing you need to know about Firefist. Kill my monster, and you win. Alright, YouTube. That's it for now. This is a really long video, and I appreciate all of you who had the patience to sit through all of this. I wish my friends at Team EXP luck at Regionals, and thanks to Matt Whitehorse, he was the one who actually sparked this video by asking me what to side against Firefist, how to play against Firefist, stuff like that. So I wish him luck with his Blackwing deck. I wish Cody luck. I wish Chris Griggs luck. I think he's going. Everybody who's going to regionals in the team, I wish you guys luck, and I wish all of my viewers luck if you guys are going to a tournament. I will be going to a locals, which will probably have zero competition. So, have fun, and, beat your Firefist.